How we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily. Now on today's show we're going to be talking about the Premier League, because by the end of the week we could have a restart date. Next story, we're going to be talking about Ighalo, because it looks like he may well be on his way back to China. And the last piece of news involves Ousmane Dembele, because he could well be available for a very, very low fee.
I represent my fucking self.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily. That's right.
So the first place we're going to start is the Premier League, and there's a series of meetings this week which could well lead to a return date of the Premier League. Now, Premier League clubs are expected to give the go-ahead to the introduction of Phase 2 of training on Wednesday, prompting hopes that a date for a return to competition could be agreed by the end of the week. The league has received government approval to progress to the next stage of Project Restart, enabling competitions and close contact training, including tackling in groups of up to 12 players. Now, it's a key week, as I said, for the Premier League, and there's a little timetable here which kind of outlays the way that they're hoping it goes. But yesterday they had the twice weekly round of COVID-19 testing. And of course, we don't know the results of that yet and whether there were any positive results or not. Today, there's going to be an updated government advice on contact training with club captains, managers and representatives of the PFA and LMA. Tomorrow, there's going to be a vote by Premier League clubs. And that will be to decide whether they resume contact training. And then on Thursday, clubs meet again to discuss broader details of Project Restart, including how the suspending of a season would actually look. And of course, one of those subjects as well will be if they can get the season started, will there be a start date? Now, a lot of people are saying June the 20th, but we don't know yet. But by the end of the week, we could well have a start date to get games up and running again. Players and managers will have the chance to discuss any remaining concerns over Phase 2 when they hold separate video calls with the Premier League today. On Wednesday, clubs will then vote on whether to move to the next stage of training, which could be introduced at training grounds before the end of the week. Several clubs have raised concerns over what will happen if a player tests positive once full contact training is resumed. In particular, there are worries over whether teammates could also be isolated for up to 2 weeks, sending one club and league planning into chaos. With a majority of clubs likely to back the introduction of Phase 2, the week could end with the Premier League putting forward the final drafts of Project Restart and a proposed fixture list, including a date when the competitive action could resume. So yeah, it's very, very interesting that, and it's all part of the process. Of course, La Liga, as I was saying yesterday, have got a start date to start the games again. Germany's already well underway. Second round of matches done, and everything seems to be going well there. And I suppose the next steps are the Premier League, and to see whether we can get this up and running. There will be some concerns, and there are those questions to be raised, which is something that I've raised many times. What happens if a player tests positive after they start, having contact training? Do the whole club have to go into isolation? Does every player within the squad have to go into isolation? With how many games we've got to get in the short period of time, 2 weeks into isolation could mean 4 or 5 games missing. If the league ends up stopping then and the team hasn't played 4 or 5 games as much as someone else, how can you go on that points per game ratio? If it's one of them, it's a strange one, man. But listen, like I said, if it's safe and they can get it back, then so be it. I have my thoughts and my reservations, but what will be, and we will wait and see. And it'd be interesting to see what happens with those meetings this week. I don't think anyone's going to object to contact training. I think that they'll want to get, in and amongst it and get their players back being physical and getting into tackles and whatnot. And yeah, we'll wait and see what happens by the end of this week and whether we have a date for the return of the Premier League. Next piece of news involves Ighalo. Now, of course, he's on loan at Manchester United. But with the Chinese League about to start pretty soon, and Manchester United looking to go into that period because of the restart and everything, they may well have to do that without Ighalo. Because his parent club in China have said that they want him to return. The only way he's going to stay at Manchester United is if they pay and sign him on a full contract. But they've already decided apparently that they don't want to sign him permanently and they just want to keep using him for the remainder of the season whenever that may be. So yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. But I think Manchester United's hands are tied because there's nothing that they can do legally. His parent club, they can exercise their right to bring him back. They call him back. Some of the reports that I was seeing over the course of yesterday were that he's being offered a new contract in China, and they're talking about 400 odd grand a week. My word! That's mad. 400 grand a week. Yeah, I think I know where he'll end up. Although he is a boyhood Manchester United fan, as everyone keeps on telling us. But it remains to be seen whether they can sort something out. He's currently training at Carrington. And yeah, he will remain there until he's called back. But Manchester United are still hopeful that they can negotiate some sort of deal that he can stay for the remainder of the Premier League campaign. Next piece of news involves Barcelona's Ousmane Dembele. Because he could well be available for just £37 million this summer. With Premier League sides Manchester United and Arsenal both interested. The 23-year-old has had his asking price dramatically slashed by the Catalan giants, according to reports. Barcelona have put the majority of their squad up for sale as they begin to count the cost of the coronavirus pandemic. Only superstar skipper Lionel Messi and their goalkeeper Ter Stegen are off limits, as the club will listen to any offers for any player. The Catalan execs know they must raise funds and ease their wage bills, so are desperate to cash in on some of their talented stars. The Frenchman Dembele is unlikely to be spared the dramatic flash sale after an indifferent spell at the Nou Camp. The La Liga side are set to make a colossal loss on the player after they signed him for $135.5 million from Borussia Dortmund in 2017. He has found the net just 19 times in 72 appearances since quitting the Bundesliga, and many have labelled him a flop. So yeah, that would be one hell of a loss. Nearly £100 million. And they certainly won't have recouped that money in any way, shape or form because he's not had a great time. There's been some issues out in Spain quite clearly. Fitness issues, injuries and everything else. But I tell you something, there's no doubt in his ability. He is one hell of a player. And if he can get at the right club, with the right manager, with the right players around him, and stay injury free, he is exceptional. What an unbelievable player. And is it a gamble paying £37 million for him? Probably not, to be quite honest with you. 23 years old, he's got high ceiling, and we all know the potential. We know what he can do. Full international. And if Arsenal do, for example, keep the likes of Aubameyang, then this deal could very much make sense to Arsenal because, of course, he is good friends with Aubameyang and does frequently travel to London to stay at Aubameyang's house. Because I know when pictures have emerged before, it sent social media into a frenzy. But yeah, most definitely an interesting one. But I can't see Barcelona letting him go for that little. They'd want a bit more than that, surely. But yeah, listen, remains to be seen. But £37 million, I think there'll be a queue, to be quite honest with you. Because he's certainly a talent. And don't give up on these players. Because you never know. It just might not have been the right club at the right time. And he might be looking for that move which will project his career to the next level. So We'll wait and see. So there we go. That is it for today's DT's Daily. As usual, let me know in the comment section what you think about today's topics. If you're new around here, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you smash a like on this video. And I'll see you lot tomorrow. I'm out of here.